excitement, right? So it's again a big group, and I'm very excited about it. And it's another EuroCham event together with partners, yeah, with UOB, in fact UOB FinLab as well. Also Acclaim, sorry. I'm always confused about the name, Acclime or Acclaim. Yeah, so it's about manufacturing. And manufacturing is not anymore just production. Yeah, it's a wide range of topics and activities. It's about supply chain, but that's not the topic of today. It's about sustainability. It's about how to finance all the topics that's happening in a changing landscape in Vietnam. It's about regulations. It's about AI, connectivity and automation. Yeah, so these are the topics we are covering today. And my name is Andre de Jong, board member of EuroCham and also managing director of Bosch Vietnam. So let me at least welcome all the speakers and the panelists of today. Ms. Pham Van Can, maybe you quickly stand up. Country head of transaction banking UOB Vietnam. Mr. Rizwan Khan, managing partner of Acclaim Vietnam, originally from Pakistan, 20 years outside of the country. We just discussed that. Mr. Loy Tran, senior partner, solution sales manager, Microsoft. Mr. Nguyen Tan Tam, director of AI, data science, Data Tech. And last but not least, Mr. Le Trong Hiu, senior director, head of advisory and transaction of CBRE. So you see we have a wide range of companies representing today's session. As I said, yeah, it's about manufacturing landscape, but with a very varied topic of things that we can discuss about. And yeah, therefore we have 3 speakers today. So it's not one keynote speaker. We have 3 speakers today to share different angles and different perspectives on this topic. And after that, we will do a small panelist discussion. Obviously, we will not forget the group photo later on, please. Yeah, don't go away for that and all come to the stage later. But without further ado, let me ask Mr. Rizwan Khan to share your insights about your topic.
Xin chào mọi người ơi. That's about it. Everything will be in English. How are you today, this morning? Good. Okay. So as you have seen the trends in Vietnam that we are moving towards high-tech manufacturing, and there's a lot of manufacturing coming in Vietnam, and for a variety of reasons. So I just put down few slides together. I will try to finish everything within, let's say, 18 minutes and 25 seconds. But let's try how it will go. Okay. So if you look at Vietnamese manufacturing scene, so as Andre introduced that I came here about 17 years ago in Vietnam. I worked with a lot of industries. I worked in manufacturing industry for about 11 years. I built greenfield factories and all these things. So that's something, this is the topic that I lived through that one. So if you look at the current Vietnam scenario, so we have seen from early this year, we had tariff turbulence. Nobody knew that what is going to happen. Then there is supply chain diversification, and this has been in operation for, this has been working on for some time, especially from China +1 or China +N strategy for a lot of businesses. Then we have climate and ESG demand or green transitions. If you look at that, even in, for example, in Hong Kong, even the service firms are looking at the ESG and green transition as well, not just the manufacturing. So it's a big topic right now. And one thing that I have done and I really like that one, is Industry 4.0. So of course there are buzzwords and there are big things, but these are the things that are shaping the manufacturing scene in Vietnam. And I believe that Vietnam is coping up with all these things very well. Now, if you look at the scenario of GDP of Vietnam, so if you look at that from 2nd April when the tariff was announced, so at that time the growth was about between 6.9 to 7.9%. And after that, we have seen the third quarter growth was 8.2, 8.3%. So that's a major jump in the manufacturing. And that's because, of course, Vietnam has a preferential tariff as compared to a lot of other countries. If you look at the manufacturing powerhouse, or for example, China and others, so definitely Vietnam is a clear winner here. And because of that, you can see that the growth is also in line with the GDP growth. And that's how the export growth are in line with that GDP growth. And if you look at that, so the quarter one, quarter two, and quarter three, so you can see that the jump in the FDI is very high. And this we have been seeing in a lot of companies. They are coming, and these are not just the, for example, Chinese company, but the Western companies who are operating in China. They are also coming to Vietnam and other countries. So if you look at this, uh, just last month, we still need to look into the trade and other things between U.S. and Vietnam. There are there are some consensus in terms of expanding the market and strengthening the cooperation in digital trade, etc. Now, so what is going on? So US was a major partner, or still is. US is a major partner of Vietnam, and now Vietnam is looking elsewhere as well. And this is a very good wake up call and opportunity, and this is also diversification. So you just do not rely only on one region or one country. You spread the risk throughout, so then you can actually grow much faster. And that's why you can see this is the growth in the export, and GDP is coming from that diversification. If you look at that, how the FDI is coming, sorry. So if you look at the major manufacturing sector, so we had about 309 billion export in industrial product, and we have seen that the wood and wooden products are going down, or less growth, furniture as well as machinery. So these are the lower growth, but the higher growth are coming from textile, obviously, because Vietnam has the comparative advantage here. Then we have the computer electronics and other products, and the other growth as well. So we have seen a lot of companies, they are coming to Vietnam. Those are not traditional companies. So for example, Pandora, Lego, and all these things. So all these are example that how the Vietnamese market is changing. So if you look at top 5 major exported products, so you can see here computer and electronics, telephones, other machinery, textile and sewing, and footwear. And these are very interesting area, that some of them are low value, high volume. On the other hand, the others are low volume but high value. And this is something that is coming up very fast. Now, if you look at the FDI in manufacturing, so about 17.9 billion FDI in adjusted capital, 7.7 in contributed purchased capital, and then about 7.3 billion in newly registered capital. So that's the big number. And why it is big? So because it's coming towards the manufacturing. So 16.8 billion came in manufacturing, so which is the clear winner in there. High tech focus on electronics. And then, of course, we have the digital economy plan by 2030. Vietnam economy is moving towards the high tech manufacturing and digital economy. So these are some of the factors that are supporting the growth in the manufacturing. Now, so what are the opportunities, or what are the growth factors that Vietnam should leverage on? And these are, if you look at the physical assets. So here we talk about all the digital sides. So these are all the something that exist physically. We are looking into this, but the digital twin is also something that is very important. And these are, for example, AI models in the manufacturing, as well as plant model, uh, then optimization model, etc. So what they are is that in the past, the manufacturing is all about, you have machines and you produce there. but it's no longer there. There is a major shift coming into going into digital twins, and as well as looking into the ways how you can improve the manufacturing process. So one of the things, for example, is if you look at the models, sorry, if you look at the models, dynamic models, so for example, so these are talking about that how you are looking into producing something and identifying that what could possibly go wrong, and you can identify that beforehand. So it's more like the predictive maintenance. This is more about from the manufacturing side. Now, if you look at the challenges, so the growth opportunities are there, but the challenges are also important. And if you look at that, so uh, first, environmental challenges, that is still a big one. If you notice that recently there are news that in Hanoi they are going to replace all the petrol or fossil fuel bikes to electric bikes, right? And the Honda is saying that, oh, this is not going to happen. So if you look at some of the manufacturers, they are way behind. For example, Toyota, Honda, and others in terms of EV. Whereas in Vietnam, we have our own indigenous VinFast and other products that are taking the place very fast. I'm not really sure. How many of you are driving cars? Raise your hand a little bit. In this year, did you find it even more difficult to drive car on the street because of those small electric bikes? Right? I drive the car too. That's why I know it firsthand. Right? It was much easier before those electric bikes. So you see the numbers are too many, and they are quite annoying actually the way they drive, right? Anyway, so but anyway, this is we can always argue on that, but then this is a point that, I mean, this year there's a major shift in the driving pattern because a lot of people are on the street, right? So and you have seen the electric buses as well. So all these things are going towards the environmental changes. Then risk arising from global economic and geopolitical fluctuations. So we have seen there is a war in Ukraine going on for a long time. Then Palestine and Israel going on for some time, about 2 years or something. Then recently India, Pakistan skirmishes and all these. So there are a lot of things are changing in the world, and that is also making the supply chain and manufacturing a little bit risky. If you look at the supply chain point of view, so you see the Yemen, for example, there the ships are under attack for a variety of reasons. We are not going into the political reasons, but we are looking into the facts that what is going on there. Unstable power supply. Uh, I'm not really sure if that is the major case, but it is to some extent, but it's not the major one, but we need to focus on that as well. And dependence on supply chain components from China. So that is also another thing that we need to see, that how we can diversify the inputs as well. There are a lot of inputs are available from other countries as well. So whether it is a good idea to go for the Chinese sources only or go for the diversification in imports as well, right? So when I was in manufacturing, so we import the material from different countries, from Europe, from China, and others. And if in that particular industry, Chinese products are not that high value items. So therefore, we had to rely on the products from other countries. Then there have been a lot of changes in Vietnam. So if you look at the law on the digital technology industry, so that came in from 1st of July until now. Every morning when I wake up, I say, there must be another law. There must be another decree, right? And imagine as a professional services firm, as a corporate firm, we really have to catch up with all these regulations and all the changes that are coming in. Then there are incentive support that are available to manufacturing transformation, so preferential CIT rates, tax deductible R&D funds, etc. So that is something that has always been a challenge. So what I have seen when I started manufacturing in 2012, at that time you had to build a factory and run that. Now you have other options as well. Now there are companies who build the cell factories for you. They build the structure. You just move in, install the machine, and start working there. Of course, it does not work for the larger factories, but it does work for the smaller ones or medium size. So these are the options that are coming in there. So the land use rights and all these things that are something that we that are changing as well. If you look at administrative facilitation, so there's a lot of things going on. All of you have VNEID? Definitely. Knowing Vietnam? Everyone has it. I have it too, right? So when VNEID came in July, so everyone was rushing to get the VNEID because people think that nothing is going to move. I just waited until 16th of July. In the beginning, people are just moving there, and that is something that shows that how the Vietnam is moving towards the digitalization. Now everything is coming under one application, and you can get all the information at one place. You don't have to run around and find the information. So these are the major changes that are coming in the regulatory framework. But at the same time, these are challenges as well, and there are other challenges too. Now, if you look at the legal and tax update coming next year, so if you look at the corporate income tax rate in the region, so Vietnam is clearly a winner here compared to all the other countries in the region. And you can see that somewhere from 40% going, and the minimum is Cambodia. Next is Cambodia, but they have higher tariffs. And they also have the other issues as well, for example, travel ban and this and that. So that's the thing. So Vietnam is clear winner in this one. On the other hand, if you look at the Vietnam CIT rates, so there are standard rates as well as there are different rates for the small and medium enterprise as well. And the definition is also given. So it could be either 17% or 15%. And certain industry, you have a different rate that is applicable there. So that makes Vietnam is a very attractive destination as far as the manufacturing is concerned. Now, if you look at the tax incentive from 1st October 2025, so uh, some of these are there. So for example, 4 years of CIT till you become profitable, then plus 9 years, 50% reduction in the tax liability. So that is something that's really helpful. But this is not the full picture. The full picture will come with the GMT, Global Minimum Tax. So we take a look into that a little bit later. Then there are some preferential CIT rate, 10%, 17%, or for 15 years, or for the project life. So this is mainly for the high tech industry, and these are the encouraged sectors. So Vietnam is moving more towards the high tech industry, where if you are producing something that is high tech or something that can be used in high tech industry, so you can actually submit the dossier to the authorities, and they give you the tax benefits. So it's not that your product has to be high tech. Even the component that is used in high tech industry, that can also be used in this one. Um, we were producing a product which is very rudimentary, very old product, right? In simple words, you can we means when I was in manufacturing. So in simple words, you can think of stickers, right? What is high tech in a sticker? Nothing, right? But if you look at the high tech component, that for example in iPhone you need a sticker between two circuit boards, for example. So that's the is very thin layer of a sticker that needs to go there, and it is produced in the clean room environment. So that's the component that you can get the high tech incentive as well. So all these things are part of that. Then encourage location. So something with difficult socioeconomic conditions, etc. That's where you will get the benefits for that as well. So these tax benefits are not only for the high tech, but also if you go to the second or third tier area where there is less developed, you can get those benefits. And also for the project scale. So this is very similar to what in Thailand called BOI projects. So that's very similar to that. So the large scale investment will get the preferential rates as well. Now, another thing that came, and this is a very big change, is the UBO. So ultimate beneficial ownership, and this is a big change, and I can see that this banks are really struggling with that one because it's a major shift. In the past, in Vietnam, when you set up the company, the parent company is the only one. That's it, done. No question asked, nothing. Now it's going back to the UBO. So that is a major shift for the KYC, from the KYC process as well as from the investment point of view. So and FATF, which is the Financial Action Task Force. So Vietnam is in gray list since 2023, and that is a major issue for Vietnam. Vietnam has to go out of that. because that will stop, that will hinder the development in Vietnam. Uh, Another thing is that you cannot just declare the capital and you say that, okay, I set up a company with $1 million, you never invested, etc. I have seen many cases where they declared the certain amount of capital to get the residence card or whatever, and they never invested there. So that the government is clamping down on that as well, because this is something very problematic. Another one is that market-based valuation. So where you are bringing the capital not in cash but in other forms. So that needs to be valued properly. So for machine, you can figure it out, but for shares, how you are going to do that. So from share point of view, there is a criteria that is mentioned there, and you have to comply with those requirements. So all these requirements are making it more transparent, requires more governance and more compliance, right? If you look at the VAT, so since I think back in 2022 or something, the VAT rate was reduced to 8%, and then it was moved on and moved on. So for certain things, it is still 8%, but it's 0, 5, and 10%. So for necessities, 0%, and for regular things, they are 10%. And then there are special consumption tax as well, for example, on alcohol and other, that's a separate story. No, not only VAT, but SCT as well. So here, so the mandatory e-invoice by 2026, now we cannot avoid it. I believe that almost all businesses in Vietnam are on e-invoice, but it's rather small ones, but still it becomes mandatory from that time. And the VAT refund will be restricted for asset transfer, expansion projects within 1 year of completion, etc. So there are timelines. In the past, you had the VAT refund, you can just apply whenever you feel like, but now there are timelines, you have to comply with that, you have to comply with the project completion, etc. So when you are building a factory, sometimes you say 18 months it will be completed. It is never 18 months. It's 20 months, 22 months, etc. So all these factors are making it more compliant with whatever you are declaring. You have to be honest. You have to declare it transparently. Now, talking about the CIT, the next thing is global minimum tax. So this is applicable for the overall revenue of 750 million annual revenue throughout. And then there is a 15% global minimum tax. So what happens? If in Vietnam you come and you pay 0% CIT, for example, but then there's a global minimum tax. So now the focus is not on the tax for the manufacturers, but it should be on the cost side. So there's no longer the benefit of coming to Vietnam and getting 0%, because with GMT you will face this problem that you have to pay minimum 15%. So that benefit will go away. Now the focus is how you can improve by automation, by using technology, and how you are going to get the benefits of cost saving, which means the land use rights, electricity, labor, etc. So it's no longer the tax. Tax is no longer the only factor. There are changes in the personal income tax as well. I moved here in Vietnam in 2008. 2009, the PIT was introduced 100% with these rates, and they never changed. Those who are here for a long time, you remember these rates? 80 million, 35%, it never changed. But now there are two proposals. One is that the sum of the brackets will go up. The other proposal is the lower bracket will go up. In my opinion, this is more realistic, because the cost of living, because of inflation, so it needs to be adjusted as well. And I think it's a long overdue, and it will be adjusted. So we are just waiting and see that how long will it take to complete this one. Now, if you look at the personal data privacy, so this is PDP. This is one of the major shift in Vietnamese compliance scenario. In the past, you can just collect the data. If you remember, you go to Hanoi, the moment you land, you receive a text message. Do you need taxi? How do you know my phone number, right? So people who are selling the data, that's no longer the case. Now, how often do you receive the spam calls? A lot still, right? So why so? Because the PDP just came into action, or it will come into action from 1st January. The law was released last month, September, I believe. So that then is something that is going to change. So now the just like GDPR in Europe, now Vietnam has PDP, and it's something that you whatever the data you are collecting for the rightful purpose. Number one, you are informing the people that from whom you are collecting the data and for what purpose. That is important. And for certain people, for example, for children for below 14 years of age, there are special requirements. So these are the conditions that make businesses more compliant. They cannot just harvest the data from different sources and use it for marketing or other purposes. So if you look at the thing, so here the consent is important. If you are collecting the data, tell the person and then collect the data. It's not that you just keep collecting the data and use it. And you need to do the impact assessment, that what will be the impact if there's a breach in your server or in your wherever you are recording the data. So this is important because the next law that is coming is on cybersecurity. So personal data privacy coupled with cybersecurity will make it even more compliant for or require more compliance from the businesses. Now, so if we look at the personal data privacy, I will not bore you with all the steps, but in simple, you have to draft a policy, implement it, inform the people that these are the policy, we are collecting the data, and then you have the templates that are standard, not business by business, but for your business. It's a standard template that you're using, easy to understand. And then you wherever you are storing the data, if it is in Vietnam, it's a different requirement. If it is outside of Vietnam, which most businesses are storing the data outside of Vietnam, so you need to have the different requirements for that. And why it is important for manufacturing? Because in manufacturing, you are collecting the data from customers, from vendors, from your employees. You have dependent information, right? You give it to your employer, how the employer is processing that information. So that is also very important. So it's not that employer is collecting the data and HR is selling the data to schools and other businesses. So that's why whether it's a business, manufacturing or service is all important. Now, so that's a little bit about of the situation, the changing scenarios in terms of compliance and governance. And now we look at a quick introduction of Acclaim. So Acclaim has presence in 21 countries. We are from Asia, for Asia. We have local expertise and global experience. If you look at Vietnam office, so in Vietnam we have 3 offices in Ho Chi Minh City, in Hanoi, and in Da Nang. We have about 170 people across 3 offices. These are some of the services that we are offering. So from starting your business, during running the business, as well as when you are expanding or you are going out of the market. So from the market entry advisory to accounting and tax compliance, payroll, M&A, due diligence, we provide the whole suite of services. This is we are also have presence on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. We are not on TikTok, unfortunately, right? So, but we are on all the mature social media, means older social media model. We should be on TikTok, but we are not there. We also have a lot of articles, lot of knowledge base available on the website for free. You can visit our website, vietnam.acclaim.com, and you can actually download the material from there. Every year we print an industry report, and this year we have the report on manufacturing and supply chain, and we also have this report available, navigating through trade. So you have the QR code you can scan, and you can look into that. There are some QR code on the table as well, so you can also get that from there. And that's about it. Thank you very much.